Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about the beauty and the elegance in what is a white lion. So we want to visualize a white lion, and we want to see that as one archetypal pillar to examine. And what that means is that in reality, a lot of us feel that we are not in positions of power in regards to maybe, let's say, work settings or so many other settings, and that there's a king above you. There is, so many people say they are the elites, they're the billionaires, they're the wealthy, they're those who are controlling industries and whatnot, And so we see this immediate fear, which does not need to even be there, created. But the concept of a king has shown that it is a being that is not giving into other beings. It cannot be touched by other beings. And if you look at fear, normally your fear is something you haven't touched yet. You have not confronted yet. So it's an untouched area in which you're not just walking into that part of the forest because of your fear of, for example, a lion. And you see a white lion, after it has proven its kingship, it is stable in that state of knowing. And you simply see that it is a state of being that is the difference in how a king behaves and how someone who doesn't think they're king. Now, when I say king, your immediate engagement is simply with ideas of royalty and whatnot, but I don't want to mean it like that at all. I don't want to mean it as something above another being. No, I just want to suggest a certain role, an archetypal figure. The fact that we are given in our reality the symbols and the concepts of kings, of a hierarchical system for man, is huge to understand this. And what is immediately seen is that one day your boss, I've never had this experience, but I'm visualizing some people have, one day your boss will come up to you and confront you in a way where you see how the lion's den is made. And what that means is that at times we are thrown into the jungle where we see our ability is being challenged by other senses of ability. And so where is the groundedness here? Where is the ground? Now, as we ask these questions, I want to visualize and see without any words that in a vast, very bright field, there is a lion, a white lion, just sitting down. And just simply sitting down, present. And you're asking all these questions, and this white lion is looking at you. And what you see is that what differentiates a being who finds himself given access to a position of a king, such as the lion, is one where there is an allowance to be a king. In other words, that being is giving himself the ability to be with the greatest quality of experience, let's say. But we find this greatness in which many kings are known, for example, vast empire, to be one where there's a certain limitation, There was a certain Zen master who, I believe, went to Japan and the king confronted him, This guru, actually, this guru goes to Japan, I believe, to spread the word of Buddhism. But in a sense, he sees that the word has spread, but the way they have understood Buddhism is one where they are making idols, Buddha statues, temples, so much wealth. They're bringing a wealth of ideas to Buddhism. Like they're in a sense, they're playing around with the idea. And so the Zen master says, you have done nothing to the king, and says, all that you have done has been foolishness. You have not understood a single thing, right? And he goes outside of the king's empire and looks at the wall and begins meditating, just focusing on the wall. And eventually, like, a school builds around him, which is awesome. But, you know, and he's in this constant state of meditation, you know. You see that the eyes of man have an ability to communicate the meaning they have put. In other words, once we throw a rock, we also are aware of the ripples in the pond. Now that is every moment. Every moment is like a rock being thrown with ripples of possibility, of creation and potential, infinite potential. Okay, I'm not using these words, I'm not just throwing them around. These are very adequate terms to use. Now, seeing this is very important because it is our ability to naturally just let ourselves evaporate away from our problems by looking at them from a more gentle and self-aware state of being. Once you do this, the quality of reality shifts. There are phenomena going that have natural agendas and directives. What that means is that, you know, you may call it a conspiracy, you may say the government is behind it, but that plant is still naturally growing and so are you, you know? So your mindset is the origination of your confusion. And you see who has set your mind. And perhaps it was not a who, it was every moment you have experienced. And so you must become aware of the experiencer of reality. And this is not one to speak. And so immediately when I say the word experiencer, you must be absorbed in the silence of your own being and presence. In a sense, we never stop, you know, we can never turn down the volume of life in regards to a speaker analogy, because it is not about that. It is simply that the nature of being is one of focus and presentation of that immediate reality, you know. You are free, but you're at the same time uncertain. And is uncertainty freedom? And we think about reality, and it must come down to simplicity. Once you see the roller coaster has gone through its greatest curve, similar to how a bird has flown between the last branch of a tree until it meets the horizon again. You are here. And there's a flow. And just as you respect, for example, Mr.Within's voice, also respect the voice of your moment of experience, communicating all that you are. You are direct experience. It's not that you played video games too long and you were trapped in the body of a machine. No, it's not like that. You're always having direct experience. Just become aware, become mindful. If you don't know what mindful means, just look at Thich Nhat Hanh's life, and you will just see the mindfulness in that being. You will get great lessons. Begin being aware of your breath and understanding that the same respect and naturalness and freedom and opportunity and presence you see in how easy and natural you're breathing, everyone deserves to breathe like that. Everyone deserves to be in a very natural, just calm state of being, to appreciate life. Now, you are responsible to get yourself there, but it is not a linear map. It is simply only an expanding attentiveness of your life to more of itself, of your life to life. Life is becoming more aware of life. And so we are always in direct experience. You must be able to naturally confront this reality because the nature of our mind is a multidimensional one. And that's the beauty of it, guys. That is why I'm talking so much. That is why I'm creating a library of intuitive reference. Because, guys, there's so much we can do. We just need to get our great minds and to see that the nature of our mind is one that can present infinite realities. Imagine having an instrument that can experience infinity. We are that instrument. Life is that moment for us. And this self-awareness is fascinating because once you see you have the potential of seeing infinite realities, you also see you have the potential to confront all of infinity at once. And you see that the white lion is comfortably and calmly sitting down in its certainty of position. If you do not have a certainty of position, the natural forces of life usually do, and they will direct you. So I want you to say that many people are afraid of failure and they only want success. So to those people who their minds is set in that way, I want to throw that clay in water and just begin with a new template of how to view that reality. Your breath is your seatbelt to the moment where your experience has always elevated to. You are not alone, but you are an experiencer of loneliness because of your positioning of idea, shape, imagery, and natural designs of life in your view. You are consciousness because you're able to communicate with yourself in ways which are creating the staircase to greater states of being. You can play the instrument that is you and become that silent roar, always omniscient. Because let me tell you, when a lion roars, when that white lion roars, when you see the archetypal ability which you can instantly access by knowing that you're allowed to be anything here, any experience is equivalent and is naturally allowed. Once you see that, the lion has roared, and once that roar is unleashed, all of eternity has roared as well. Once you see your moment of being a meaning beyond all that you know, not in an idea way, but in an experiencing and feeling type of way, the king may finally put down its crown and enter into the omniscience of existence. You must take yourself to these stations, archetypes, symbols, and to continue. These archetypal forces, these symbols For example, me bringing up the idea of a white lion, and many other symbols, the white eagle is another one which I will definitely do an episode. So this archetypal force can become more manifest in your life because you see your imagination has the ability to make your sky limitless. And once you have that sense of presence, you see it is okay for us to engage with more linear and with more of a linear allowance to experience non-linearity of ourselves, So it is not, do not go in frames, it is not a social thing. It is not something in which you need society's voice or any other person's voice to say something to you. Because you have an origination of your awareness that is valuable. To devalue a human's experience by locking them up is teaching all of humanity how consciousness is not allowed to be expressed. I know they're criminals, guys, but you forgive them because you see they are just like a branch of a tree. They are just an expression of life. But what is the lesson of their presence? And that is where collective teaching can always be grasped from any individual experience. Collective teachings are always present. This is a method of self-knowledge where you are in a fractal manner examining many different layers of reality. And so, for example, you're allowing the crumbling of a leaf to become as sharp as, for example, the Grim Reapers or Archangel Israel's, spear, or scythe, We are poets by nature, because nature is poetry, and that is why living is always a poetic experience. You talk about living, oh man, you have lived well. But I'm saying that playfully, because jokes aside, we are able experiencers of reality, and so we are working with our own methodologies and different currents and flows of how we, in a sense, go through our waterfall. We don't only see greatness in the rise, but all falling, all fails, all failings, let's say. Everything that has made you a corrupt criminal is simply your ability to not be compassionate enough for yourself to say, okay, I have gone through an experience, but what is crucial now is my awareness of everything after that experience and how I took it in. Sometimes I'll tell you guys a funny experience. I have witnessed this this father and child in this park who were actually very clumsy. In other words, the father was very clumsy, in which the father was about to kick a soccer ball to his very young child who was like a meter away, and the father accidentally, kicks and his shoe comes off and hits the child. The guy doesn't know how to kick a soccer ball, and so his shoe hits the child and the child cries. And not that this just pushed a spontaneous burst of laughter in my mind, but the kid was okay, of course, because the guy didn't know how to kick, so the force of his kicking was just like throwing like an empty plastic bottle, with very, just throwing it across somewhere, nothing happens, and damage. So, life does throw things at you, and at times you're catching them, and sometimes you're not. But it is important to see that the times that where you're not catching the things life is giving you, you really see that that is just a template of idea. That is just how the voice was conditioned to look at shape. You can always re-look at shape. You can give yourself, and I have seen, the ability that reality becomes a blend of deep inner meaning. And so, guys, I need to cut this talk short. But it's never short. Please understand this. All these talks dream through greater eyes. And so the white lion is always by your side. Much blessings and namaste.